Hickok 45 here. Welcome to the Hickok 45 Talks channel. Yeah, I almost said Clips channel. Hope you're seeing the clips. You probably are. Don't even realize it sometimes that John's pulling out from old videos and that kind of thing. It's kind of fun to see those again. But anyway, this is the Talks channel. There was a comment. I pull comments y'all leave or actual questions, suggestions you asked me to talk about on the Talks channel. This is a comment I see pretty often. I think I've talked about it. I apologize if I've actually done a Talks video. I don't think I have I? But comments about if you got a 44 Magnum, why have a 44 Magnum if you're going to shoot 44 specials through it? And I know I've mentioned that to some extent somewhere in a Sunday video a little bit, but it gets into the bigger picture, right? It's a bigger topic in a lot of ways about firearms as a hobby and the enjoyment of firearms and what the hobby is all about and what shooting is all about and even defensive shooting. And it gets into all of that, really. It also gets into, I don't want to say ignorance. I'm not calling it ignorant. You know what the word ignorant means. Just means unaware of something. I think it gets into maybe inexperience with some shooters that are perplexed about it when they see me with a 44 Magnum or a 357 Magnum in a video, and I'm shooting, well, Magnums, but I'm also sliding in some 38 specials or 44 specials and shooting those as well. And particularly maybe if it's a shorter video or I'm shooting a lot of specials, or I don't know, it just really bothers some people. It seems to. And it's kind of perplexing to me. It's like, where does that come from? Like they almost get mad that you're shooting specials, in a Magnum revolver. And it shouts inexperience in a lot of ways. It does in the area of shooting. Because if you have owned a 44 Magnum yourself or a 357 Magnum for a period of years, maybe a decade or two, you experienced shooters. And there are a lot of you out there, because I hear from you and I see your comments, see you at meet and greets or on the wherever, Walmart, talking about different guns and different things. If you're an experienced shooter, you're going to shoot both. You'll if you hand load, you'll hand load some pretty hot rounds. Maybe you'll hand load some moderate rounds. You might hand load 44 specials for your 44. You may buy some 44 specials. You take full advantage of that piece of machinery. That piece of machinery will fire a wide range of ammunition. And that's one of the cool aspects of it. And even a light load in 38, a 350, a light load in any of those revolvers, 357, 44, is a big cartridge. 38 special. No one considers a 38 special a BB. It's not a 22 or a 38 special. It's what it was like a caliber of choice, chambering of choice for decades and decades and decades. Police departments and everywhere else. It's a fine cartridge. Nothing wrong with it at all. Or a 44 special, ballistically about like a 45 ACP and all that. So it's by comparison, I guess. I think a lot of that might come from young people. It might even come from kids, really, really kids, that just played video games or something, and there's a 44 Magnum in there, and it blows everything away. I don't know. And so they see a video where someone's got a 44 Magnum, and they're shooting some lesser round in it. What is with that? Isn't that like having a Lamborghini or a Corvette, and you've got a different engine in it. You put in a fuel efficient engine or something, or you put some gasoline in it that won't give you the full octane. I don't know. Uh, so I think they're not true. People who get wrapped around the axle over that, I will go ahead and say I don't think they're true shooters. They're not a part of the hobby in any uh, substantial sense. Yeah, because it betrays a level of understanding and experience they just don't have, right? Because that is a cool thing about it. It's like what other area calibers or rifles or whatever? I'm trying to think. It's most prevalent, with magnums and specials and those two chamberings because they will chamber either one. The shorter cartridge without any trouble, of course. And I just, as maybe muzzle loading is a little bit of an example where you can load any load you want. Every other time you shoot, you can change the loading if you want. When I have my Hawken rifle out here, or even a Civil War rifle, I could load 80 or 100 grains of powder behind that ball or that mini ball, I guess. Or I can crank it down. I think, well, the mini ball standard loading was about 60 grains, I think, Civil War and all that. Or I could load that. I could load 40 grains if I want. And I've done that. I've had fun loading like 20 grains of powder with a heavy bullet in a muzzle loader. And just pop. It's not very loud, and it's like throwing. You can almost throw that ball as fast as it's going to shoot it, and especially when I shoot the cowboy or something closer. I mean, like 10 grains. I put 10 grains behind a 50 caliber ball or something, 54 caliber ball, mini ball, whatever you want, and you like plink at a target right there at pistol range, with that rifle, and it's kind of fun. And so the versatility, and if you're a hunter, you might use a pretty stout load behind a heavier bullet, maybe a maxi ball in your Hawken or whatever it might be. And if you're an inline shooter, there's all kinds of ammo available, right? And you can put different rounds. I guess that swing is annoying. That sound, isn't it? You can put different loads in it, to meet your purpose. And so that's the cool thing about shooting and firearms. If you're really into the hobby, the versatility of firearms is not to be underestimated. That adds to the fun. And then plus a Magnum is if you've shot hot 44 Magnum, it's pretty intense, fun to experience. It's fine, and that might be what you need for some hunting application too. But it's a lot more fun and civilized to shoot a moderate round, like maybe a moderate Magnum, which is what I load in my cast bullets, partly because you don't want extra leading, but just a moderate Magnum. And then I enjoy shooting 44 specials as well. Great cartridge, and 38 special, 357, Even a 357 Magnum is a pretty stout round. You get a pretty hot round. It is loud. Really loud, like firing a 5.56 AR or something, and depending on the handgun, it can have a fair amount of recoil and kick. Well, that's okay, but do you want to go out and fire 50 rounds like that? Whoom! Incredible concussion and recoil and 44 or 357, and that's not an enjoyable day at the range for me to fire 50 or 100 of those. Fire some. But the moderate Magnums are much more my style. It's what I fired so many through my Model 29, got up to around 80,000 rounds through that thing. Cast bullets mostly, the moderate Magnums mostly. And it's much more pleasurable. You can actually work on your marksmanship. You might actually hit something, yeah. So anyway, that comes up periodically and kind of regularly. Like, why would you have, I guess it's like a Desert Eagle. Why would you have a 50 A&E Desert Eagle if you're not going to fire hot ammo? And there's probably no lighter ammo in those you could fire. But that's just cool. 500 Magnum be another firearm. I mean, that's a load to shoot. 500 Magnum. I would not get enjoyment out of going out and firing 50 or 100 of those. And whereas if I was in love with say the Smith and Wesson 500 Magnum, I don't even own one. We've shot them a fair amount, borrowed and everything, and I've entertained the notion of owning one of those at times, but it's just not as enjoyable. Uh, to shoot it a lot, they're fine. If a moderate load were available, and I probably are, or if I got into hand loading it and could load a moderate load for it, that might be fun. Shooting 50 caliber in a manageable round, and maybe even load up some really light ones. That'd be kind of cool. Throw out a heavy 50 caliber round, to whatever 600 feet per second. That really would be like throwing chunks of lead, wouldn't it, with your hand? So the reason I don't own one is and it speaks to my point. I'm not set up to enjoy the versatility that might be there, by loading my own ammo, and there might be some lighter loads available on the market. Probably are. I just not into that caliber that much, but that would make that more fun. Shoot some really hot stuff occasionally. Shoot some moderate stuff that doesn't knock you around so badly most of the time, and play around with some even lighter stuff, maybe just having that versatility, because the firearms are heavy, obviously, and so if you got some lighter loads, it'd be very, very comfortable to shoot. If you just had an urge to throw out some 50 caliber chunks of lead, right? But as you get into shooting and get more experience into shooting, if you don't know now, you will learn that that versatility is worth a lot, and the ability to shoot a variety of loads. And you'll learn one day, actually, is that 44 Special is probably more fun than 44 Magnum. Okay, and it's not because I've gotten to be an old guy and even a bigger FUD, and I just can't handle the recoil and the blast of a Magnum. I've got to back off and just shoot special cartridges, lighter loads. I just can't handle it. It's not that. It's not that. I can handle, y'all see it, I can handle recoil. It's fine. It's just more enjoyable to shoot moderate rounds and focus on accuracy and what you can hit and everything. It's hard to focus that much for me with those atomic rounds. It's just not as much fun. I mean, it's fun to a certain extent, and then the fun level tails off. It does, yeah. So, what do you think? You agree? Anybody agree? Come on, somebody agree with me. Make me feel better. Yeah, am I the only one that thinks this way? Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sometimes on the other side of things and think a little differently, but that's okay. There's room for all thoughts out there, all sides of an argument. Glad you came around to hear me talk about magnums and specials and all that stupid stuff. Life is good.